guess the obvious one is Andrew. Devastating news, especially for a guy who's so professional, meticulous in everything he does.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be, we're obviously devastated for him, but probably the most philosophical and level-headed person in all this has been Andrew himself. He's a remarkable young guy, and we're all devastated. And he's the only person in his situation or a situation like it that actually considers himself pretty lucky. He's played 106 games in a row. So, playing this brutal sport, it's unusual for a player to play that many games without injury. So he's philosophical, but he's really excited about the potential to elevate another leader into the captaincy role in his absence, and he'll continue to do some work with our team in the off-field sense, but it'll also give him a chance to complete the last 2 units of his university degree as well, up until the end of the year, and then we'll also look at some other leadership opportunities overseas for him as well. So there is a silver lining, but there's no replacing Andrew Swallow, we know that, but we think we're really well serviced with a lot of great leaders at our club.
What is the most sort of the area you'll miss him most? Is the leadership, the tackling, the ball winning, or just all of them?
Oh, look, his leadership's developing. I mean, he's only still quite a young captain, but I mean, he leads us by example on field. His contested ball's been outstanding this year. I think he should be spoken about in All-Australian contention if we stop playing right now. So, we're going to have to replace that ball-winning ability inside, and he's been really crucial for us. And it's uncharted territory for me too, because this is my debut as North Melbourne coach without Andrew Swallow. So that's going to be a challenge in itself.
Do you expect to get him back for the start of next year?
Oh, we're not looking that far ahead. He had the surgery. We were really fortunate to get him in Sunday morning and get the surgery done. I saw him last night, and he's in good spirits. So we're just worried about getting through the acute phase for the next 2 weeks, and then we'll assess it from there. But we're confident that he can do running in some way, shape or form in December. And then it'll just be a matter of how quickly we can progress him to top end speed from there.
I think with the last couple of recent examples in terms of AFL players is Anthony Rocker and Jared Ruffhead. The fact that he's obviously smaller, does that play in his favour in recovery?
Yeah, but typical in Andrew Swallow's style, he's already been in contact with Jared Ruffhead. And I'm really, I'm rapt that Jared also tried to contact Andrew as well. So that was a great gesture, I think, on Ruffy's behalf. And Ruffy's given him a deal of a certain level of confidence with the recovery, and certainly being lighter will help. And that's the surgeon's advice too, that the lighter guys tend to make speedier recovery. So, we're very hopeful there.
And just on your choice of captain, Drew takes the captaincy. There's been a bit of talk that Jack maybe could have taken that role.
Yeah, and he could have. Look, I'm delighted that Drew Petrie's going to captain our football club for the rest of the 2013 season, and we've got a really strong leadership group, and I want to make it really clear that we made a big decision to go with Andrew Swallow at the start of this year and to replace Brent Harvey, but we wanted to maintain Boomer in the leadership group in a mentoring capacity. But we also had Drew Petrie as our vice captain as a great backup to Andrew in case something happened to Andrew, and we see Jack as an absolute potential leader of our football club in the future. But the reality is that he was, the start of this year he was 21. So he's still very young. And to put that in context, he's still 2 years younger than Jack Grimes, who's captaining Melbourne. So, he's a very, very young leader, but he's exceeded all of our expectations in terms of his leadership potential. But 6 months on, we're not going to make a rash decision and a silly decision, in my view, when we've got a great leader in Drew Petrie there who's ready to captain the club, and I think he'll do an outstanding job for us.
Have you thought about what role Andrew might play around the club in the time that he's out, Brad?
Yeah, well, the next 2 weeks are really important in just getting himself through that acute phase of the surgery. But I've talked to him already about that. He's really keen to help, and I think it's a measure of the guy. I mean, I can only imagine how devastated he would have been upon hearing the news. I know how I felt when I heard the news that he ruptured the Achilles during the game on the weekend. But none of the players or the staff actually knew that he'd done it, because they just thought he'd rolled his ankle, because he was still out there talking to the players, talking about midfield setups, and he's a really level-headed young man. So we're really fortunate to have him. We're going to miss him, but I still think he'll be able to contribute off-field.
I noticed, Brad, that a few of you are wearing the green band-aids today. Can you tell us what they're about?
Yeah, it's a great charity. I think North Melbourne as a football club has always been a community-based football club, and we're always really pleased to have World Vision last year, and I just think that we do look to support underprivileged people, and we do people who move to our country from different cultural backgrounds come and do it tough, and our Huddle's an innovative program here. We're really well supported in that. So I think that this is another example of the North Melbourne Football Club supporting underprivileged people and helping those in need.
I just need to ask about the Bombers stuff directly, but as a coach, Mark Thompson said last night it wouldn't be unusual for a head coach not to know about a supplements program. Should coaches know everything?
Oh, look, you're right. It's very, very difficult for me to comment. But look, as a leader of any organisation, whether it's your CEO or whether it's the head of your football department, of which there's a chief of football and a senior coach, you are responsible for everything that works underneath you. Now, that doesn't mean micromanaging to the absolute maximum, but you are ultimately responsible. And I think, to James and Bombers' credit, I think they've never absolved themselves of that responsibility.
You'd be loving the broadcasters promoting Friday night's match as the Battle of the Brothers.
Oh yeah, no. Chris and I are always keen to make it about us, not about Geelong and North. No, they're obviously having a great season. They're looking at shoring up their position up the top of the ladder, and we're really fighting to make sure that we can play really good footy against the best teams in the comp, of which Geelong are no doubt one of those. So, it's a great opportunity for us. They're looking to cement their style of footy going into September. So, I expect a cracking match, and we've had some really good games against them at Etihad the last two occasions. So, we've got a level of confidence going in against them, but we've also seen in the second half, the last time we played them, just how dominant they can be. So we're going to have to be at our best.
Do you think you've improved since the first round match up against them, and how much?
I think both teams have probably changed a little bit in style. So it's going to be a challenge to. I don't think the game will unfold the way it did last time. I mean, they play a little bit differently. We've tweaked a few things as well. So, but they're in ominous form. I mean, I think they kept Melbourne to 19 inside 50s and they kept St Kilda to 25. So, we're going to have to take the most of our scoring opportunities because they're defending really well. So, in answer to your question, I think we have improved, but we'll find out late Friday night.
Do you take something out of the fact that you were able to get 40 points up on them last time in terms of the way your style can go against them at your best?
Yeah, I don't think too many teams do that to Geelong. So, but it counted for nothing at the end because they got over the line against us. So, Look, Geelong will be looking at the game, taking out what we did well and then what they did well in the second half to get over us, and we're looking at it in reverse order. So, I think that we've got to defend better against them because I still see them as the best offensive team in the comp. But you look at their inside 50 numbers and how hard it is for the opposition to score against them, they're starting to match their offence with a very good defence.
And who's likely to come in for the skipper?
It's a tough one. I think that we've had Ben Jacobs in really good form in the VFL. Levi Greenwood, is a terrific competitor and in pretty good form. So if it's like for like, it will come down to those guys, with a couple of others. But we can tweak our defence a little bit too. We're fortunate that Michael Ferrito, Scott McMahon, Sam Wright are all playing in the VFL, and they're obviously capable AFL footballers. So we'll have to look at the structure and the way Geelong are going to set up. And with Podsy Adley out, and I hear they've accepted that one-match ban. So, it potentially means that we're going to have to look at our defensive matchups too, because they've got West, they've got blitz halves, they've got a number of options. So there's going to be a bit of guesswork into the way Geelong go and then how we choose to counter that.